Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Written By Podcast. My name is Keana W. Mitchell, and I am your host for the podcast. Recently, it was brought to my attention that some of the listeners were not able to finish listening to the podcast, episode 7, entitled God. I was told that only 4 minutes of the podcast played, and then it stopped. I sincerely do apologize for this inconvenience, but I'm excited to tell you that issue has been resolved, and now I am going to air the corrected episode of the podcast, the one where I was telling you why I wrote the song God in its entirety, right now. So stay tuned, and that will be the next thing you will hear. Thank you so much for your listening to the podcast, and I hope you enjoy the show. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Written By Podcast. I am your host, Keana W. Mitchell. I don't know about you, but last week was a very busy week for me. School started. Yay! I'm thrilled for that. But when school starts, you have to get your kids registered for school, go back to school shopping. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you have to do. So I was busy with that whole nightmare, but I'm so happy that I got them registered for school. School started Monday, so they are happily in school. Yeah, this year I have a 6th grader, a 4th grader, and a 3rd grader. So they are very excited, and I'm going to say I'm very excited for school too. Words can't express how happy I am that they are in school. But aside from that, I'm also very happy to be here with you today. It feels good to know that there are other people out there in the world who care about the story behind lyrics as much as I do. I have always had a deep love for music, as you know by now, and I am truly fascinated by the story behind the lyrics of a song. Like, for example, one of my favorite songs is the song I Will Always Love You. But did you know that even though this song was sung by Whitney Houston, it was originally written and recorded by Dolly Parton, who is a country singer? Now, I looked up the story behind the song. Of course, you know I had to do that. And it seems that Dolly Parton wrote this song in 1973 for one of her longtime duet partners and one of her mentors, Porter Wagoner, and from whom she was going to be separating from professionally after 7 years of partnership. So she was working with him, and I guess she decided to go out on her own, and she just wanted him to know that she appreciated him and that she would always love him for what he did for her. So I thought that was an interesting story, and since I love that song so much, I just thought I'd tell you about it. But you see, I'm truly interested in stories behind songs. So that is my reason for doing the podcast. So even though Dolly Parton and I sing in 2 different genres and our styles are completely different, I can really relate to her on a more personal level because I know the story behind why she wrote the song. And to me, it makes sense why she would write the song and why it would feel the way that it does because of why and how she wrote it. So today, I would like to tell you the story of how I wrote the song, God. Now, this song has a very strange and unusual beginning. I originally began writing this song in 2013. However, I did not record the song until 2015. The year 2013 was a very difficult year for me. My husband and I were having both financial and marital problems. In addition to this, my mom died, and one of my daughters failed and had to repeat a grade. That year, I'm just going to be honest, I cried a whole lot. And even though I had friends and people that I could talk to, I still felt alone. And you know, sometimes you do feel alone when you're going through trying circumstances and different situations. Even though you have friends and people who care about you, you just feel alone. And that is how I felt. So one day while I was walking through my house, I was getting ready to cook dinner. I just started humming a tune, and it went something like this. And while I was humming, I immediately got my voice recorder and I just began humming the tune to myself. So I was walking through the house going, and that's all I had. I just had humming. I had no words, nothing. That's all I had was a hum. So after I recorded myself humming the song, I put up my tape recorder, and I actually forgot about the voice recorder, and I forgot about that song completely. At that time, I did not know what to do with the tune because it did not fit with any of the songs that I was working on at that time. So I just kept the recording of the melody, and like I said earlier, I eventually just forgot about it. So in 2014, things seemed to get worse instead of better. This was the year that we unexpectedly had to move to another house. My marriage literally almost fell apart. In the midst of this storm, though, I did get closer to God, and I began to see God taking my bad situation and working it out for my good. So it was around this time during one of my writing sessions that I was listening to my voice recorder, and sometimes I go back. If I wrote most of the songs at the top of my list, I'll erase them, and so I keep going back, listening to different tunes until I find a tune that I want to write to. And this particular day, I came across the recording of me humming the song to that tune that I did a year ago but never did anything with. So when I heard the tune, I instantly came up with some lyrics. So I just sat down, and when I heard the tune, I was just like, "You were someone to talk to when I needed a friend. You were there to comfort me when I was feeling sad." Instantly, the lyrics just came to me, and so did the rest of the melody. I was so excited because finally, after 2 years, I finally had lyrics, and I could finish the melody to the tune that I was humming in my kitchen 2 years earlier. So the melody that I recorded in 2013 now had lyrics, and I was thrilled. I'm always excited when that happens. I eventually recorded the song God in 2015 at a studio here in Huntsville. I know you've heard me talk about it many times here, but it's called Maitland Conservatory. This is an awesome studio, and it's also a school, and it teaches kids how to play instruments. But anyway, this is where I always go for any song or any work that I ever do. So I went here, I got the song, I sat down with Mario Maitland, who's the owner, and he's also the producer to the song, and we went over it. I did the lyrics, and he did the music. Then we found a demo singer. Her name was Keana, and she came into the studio, and she recorded the song for me. And the song was produced by Mario Maitland. So once I got everything together, I finally had the song God. Now, before you hear the song, I just want to say that I have a very special connection to this song because I wrote this song at one of my darkest moments. And each time I either hear the song or sing the song, I'm reminded of how good and wonderful and great God truly is, and how he can take even the worst situations in our lives and bring you through them. And I mean, there are times you don't even know how you're going to get through, but God knows, and he will get you through these situations each and every time. As you listen to this song, may you be encouraged to know that no matter what you are going through, God is always there for you, and he will bring you through each and every storm in your life. Now, here is the song, God.
To talk to when I needed a friend. You were there to comfort me when I was feeling sad. You're my shelter from the storm. I am safe when I'm with you. You are Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. God, you were there all the time, God, always easing my mind, God. You were there all the time, God, always easing my mind, God. God, mind, God, 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 oh God, you were there all the time, God, always easing my mind, God, 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 God. Just when I thought that I could not go on, you were there to bring me through. And when my fears got the best of me, you gave me courage to succeed. And in those times when I felt all alone, you let me know that you were there. It was you. It was you. It was you. You've been there all the time, God. Always easing my mind, God. You're always there to ease my mind, oh my God, there all the time, God. Oh my Lord, easing my mind, God. Ease my mind daily, Lord. Oh God, there all the time, God. You never left me all alone. Easing my mind, God. Ease my mind, ease my mind. Oh God, you were there all the time, God. I've never been alone with you. Easing my mind, God, God,
Okay, everyone, that was the song God featuring Keana. Now, before I end the podcast, there are a couple of things that I would like to ask you to do to help me. The first thing you can do is to tell someone about the podcast. If this podcast has encouraged or inspired you in any way, please tell a friend about this podcast. The other thing you can do for me is to go onto iTunes and leave a review for the podcast. Now, if you've already left me a review for the podcast, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. But if you have not already left me a review, that's perfectly fine. You can fix that today. Just go onto iTunes and leave me a review for the Written By podcast. Now, while you're on iTunes, if you have not already subscribed to the podcast, you can also subscribe while you're there. So you can do two things at once: subscribe to the podcast and also leave me a review. I will be putting out more episodes, and I'm going to be honest, I try to get them out on Tuesdays, but sometimes I may not be able to, and it might be a Wednesday, Thursday, or a Friday. But if you subscribe to the podcast, whenever they do come out, then it will come up on your phone and you will know when podcasts are available. One thing I will do is get one out every single week. So if you subscribe, you'll know exactly when they come out. Also, I just want to tell you one more time that I truly love spending time with you, and it is such a joy to spend this time with you today. I look forward to meeting with you again next week. If you would like to contact me, you can email me at writtenbypodcast@outlook.com, and that's WRITTENBYPODCAST, and that's all lowercase at outlook.com. Now, feel free to also follow me on Instagram. My username there is Aneek Music, and that is ANAEKMUSIC. Well, until next time, I wish you love, joy, and peace. And I hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you again later. Thank you so much for listening, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.